Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 65 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. So if you watch on YouTube and you are hoping to see me return to my cupboard under the stairs, I'm not there today. It is so hot here down in Cornwall that I'm in my garden yoga studio space where I do all my online training, online mentoring, create content, create my self-paced study course content. And it's really hot in here. There is just no way that I could record my podcast in my tiny cupboard under the stairs. It's too hot. So I'm still in my garden studio space. And today's podcast is a little bit shorter than normal, hopefully. I've stopped saying it's a mini-sode because I'll say it's a mini-sode and 20, 30 minutes later I'm still talking. But I am aiming for a relatively short one today because I'm a little bit pushed for time. Like we all have life, yeah? And Mercury in retrograde definitely is kicking my butt right now. So last week, my husband and son, it was the last week of the school summer holidays, and they had gone to Ireland to visit friends and were due to fly back on the bank holiday Monday. Their plane got cancelled because of the flight chaos and they didn't make it back until the following Thursday. And when they got back, they were really tired. So I had 5 additional days of unplanned solo parenting last week of the holidays, plus my husband started a new job on Monday, plus my son started secondary school on Monday. So there's been a lot going on in my family life. And just before I get on to today's podcast topic, I want you guys listening to this podcast, you are more than likely going to be self-employed, more than likely going to be part-time self-employed perhaps, or full-time self-employed. Perhaps you also work another part-time job. That's like me, you have children and we just have other caring commitments. And sometimes, external events happen and you have to go, I haven't got the energy right now to do everything that I plan to do, in my yoga business. So when you go into that stage, you need to be like, okay, well, I like to think, what are the glass balls? They're the ones that you can't drop. They're the things that you need to keep going and keep, on top of in terms of allowing your yoga business, whatever it is, to continue. And then what are those plastic balls, the ones I can drop, but pick back up? So I've definitely spent the last week actually it feels like the last 10 days holding up those glass balls just about. And I've definitely dropped some plastic balls that I'm starting now to pick back up. But that's why today's podcast episode is meant to be a bit shorter because I'm a little bit pushed for time. Okay, so what is today's episode about? Last week I spoke to you and I've had lots of great feedback about last week's episode. I'm so pleased you liked it. Isn't it great to tap into some magic? Last week's episode was all about magical marketing. How we're told there's all these strategies and all these things you should do to do your marketing. What is your marketing strategy? And perhaps like me, you try them all and some of them really don't resonate with you. You're like, well, I'm just rubbish. This isn't working for me. I don't have a marketing strategy. Or perhaps you've been where I definitely have been in the past, where you're like, well, what marketing strategy? And you look at all this advice out there and you think, but I trained to be a yoga teacher. This isn't something I want to do or want to invest my time in. And we do, as yoga teachers, have to market ourselves. We do have to talk to people. That's what marketing is. Build relationships with human beings and invite them into our classes. That's making an offer, that's selling. Okay, real simple, but actually really beautiful terms. That's just what is marketing is, and if you're on this path, on this journey as a yoga teacher, of course, you want people to benefit from the practice of yoga and to do yoga with you. So in order for that to happen, you do need to tell them about your classes. You do need to talk to them, marketing, and you also need to invite them to the class. Yeah, it's like, let's take it this way. If I was hosting a dinner party and I wanted all my best friends to come, but I didn't tell them, well, they wouldn't come. Yeah. And if I said, oh, I'm holding a dinner party, do you want to come? And left it at that. And they didn't know where it was, and they didn't know what they needed to bring. Yeah. And they didn't know how to book on, because I'm charging them. Like, that wouldn't happen. But do you see how important it is that we do go out and talk to people, marketing? We do build relationships with those people that we magically connect to, all right? And invite them into our offers. So today's podcast is all about the ripple effect of your magical marketing, okay? And what I mean by your magical marketing is you talking to people, you showing up in a way that is aligned with you, okay? So finding that, and if you're not sure, you do have to go out and try the strategies and try all the ways that you can show up. Like, social media is a great example. I've been on social media. Well, actually, I've only been on Instagram since, hang on a minute. I've been on Instagram for like the last 3 or 4 years. I definitely missed the Instagram like bubble. And I've been on Facebook, probably since like 2010. All right. So let's take Instagram. I definitely have had to practice using Instagram and finding out what I liked to do, what aligned with me energetically, how often I wanted to show up, how I showed up, and what didn't. And the only way now I'm at this place where I actually really love Instagram. I just see it as a place of fun. It's my big party invitation. I invite you to my party. And if you want to come, great. And if you don't, that's okay, right? And that's why I see Instagram as my party invitation. But it's taken me a couple of years to get to that point, and definitely through practice and that action of showing up, trying marketing strategies and finding what works for me. So that magical marketing, you do need to go back and listen to episode 64, guys, is when we take action from a place of this feels good. Like, you still might feel nervous, it still might feel uncomfortable, but it feels good. It feels like a way that I want to show up. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the challenge that we have when we feel like we're showing up and nothing's happening. And this is one of the biggest things that comes through for those in my mentorship program. They're like, I've done this and I've done that, and I still haven't yet seen results. I want you to know that there isn't one singular thing that you could do tomorrow that is drastically going to change your marketing strategy, the number of people coming into your classes, right? There isn't one single magic bullet. And I think we do often look for this magic solution. I feel like we're almost like told, aren't we, that there's all these secrets, all these strategies to having full yoga classes, to having full yoga retreats. And everyone else who's out there with that has got it sorted. And I'm missing some secret sauce. I'm missing some secret ingredient. And I want you to know that you're not, actually. And one of the things that could be stopping the flow of magic is this feeling that somehow you're not good enough at it. Somehow you're not doing it right. Those feelings create resistance to allowing the flow of magic to happen. But listen, let's just say tomorrow you're like taking that inspired action, taking that aligned action. You've listened to episode 64 and you've decided that you're going to try X, Y, and Z for a certain period of time. You like doing X, Y, and Z, and you do X, Y, and Z for 1 week and nothing shifts, right? And you're like, that's it. This isn't magical. This isn't what I'm going to do. I'm rubbish at this, right? I want you to stop right there, okay? Because your marketing has a ripple effect. One of my most favorite mantras that I use all the time, perhaps even every day, right, is this: consistent action in the direction of your dreams is what achieves results. I'm going to say that again. Persistent, consistent action in the direction of your dreams is what achieves results. If episode 64 was maybe a bit manifesting based, right? Getting in that energetic flow. Today's episode is action, because this is what gets lost, I think, with the whole manifesting thing. People just think, well, those people that manifest, you just sit around and journal, visualize, act like it's already happened, that it's already here, and then it all pans out for them. Yeah. No, behind that energetic state is action, but action taken from the right energetic place. And we often don't give our marketing endeavors enough time to bed in. And this is one of the biggest things I see, particularly, guys, if you were in your first 2 years of teaching and you started up classes and you're like, my class, I've been doing this for 6 months and my class numbers are still low, right? I want you to carry on. I want you to carry on serving those students that are there, that are turning up. I want you to use those students that turn up every week, and those people that are going to help you do the heavy lifting with your marketing, get them to talk to their friends, keep talking to people, and see that every little action that you take builds up to this ripple effect that a few years down the line, I feel like, let me tell you the story of, this is a good one. When I first started teaching toddler yoga and mum and baby yoga, right? For the first 2 or 3 months, I had 1 or 2 women per class. Now, if my future self, when I was teaching toddler and mum and baby yoga, at the height of that, I was teaching 2 classes a week, and there was on average between 12 and 15 people, mums and bumps and toddlers per class, 2 of them a week. If my future self could have gone back and said to that person, that teacher, that me that was starting out with those numbers, hang in there because this is going to happen, I don't think I would have believed myself. Yeah. But it is what happened. It took me to showing up when the class numbers are low. And, I'm not saying like, accept that's what's going to happen and you're not going to make any money, but staying in that growth phase, showing up and continuing to just talk to people in a way that feels aligned for you. So this was back in, like, my first child hadn't been born. So this was back in like 2010, 2011. And how did I continue to show up when my class numbers are low? Well, these techniques might actually still work today. This is like old school marketing that gets completely lost. I would be sharing my classes in local Facebook groups where mums might be hanging out. I had flyers up and about in the local area and in coffee shops where mums might be hanging out, and near the venue I was teaching where people were walking past. I probably was on Facebook and posted on Facebook. I had a website, and when you Googled pregnancy yoga, mum and baby yoga, toddler yoga, Cornwall, I was up on that first page. I had spent time making sure that my website was indexed and had been optimized for search engine optimization. I had a Google Business Center listing. Can you hear all of this? This is all marketing. But not one of those strategies made a difference. What it was the accumulation, the consistent, persistent action in the direction of my dreams. Let's bring it right to where I am today in my business. I have probably been like those 3 main channels that I've been marketing, that I've been talking to people. Podcast. When I first started my podcast, my views, my downloads were a lot lower. Did I stop because of that? No. Why didn't I stop? Because I knew I've had that experience, way back in 2010, where I had very low class numbers, stayed in it, and 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, had these full classes. So I know that persistent, consistent action brings me to the place where I want to be. And nowadays, like, I'm going for over a year now, it's episode 65. So many people come to me, either into the mentorship program or into one of my training courses, and they're like, I feel like I already know you. I've been listening to your podcast. Why does a podcast work for me so well? Go back to episode 64. Like, it is so natural for me to stick myself in front of a camera and chat, right? And I really love doing that. And I do this, I prioritize this podcast over and above everything else. The other thing that I've been really actively doing is growing my mailing list and being consistent and persistent and chatting to people in my mailing list. So I send out a weekly email now, and that's been really powerful because I built a connection with those people that open it. And then the people that were like, I don't want an email from this woman every week, and they unsubscribe, like, that's fine, because it's also helped me to filter out those that want to be in my world and those that don't. And then the other place, the third place, is Instagram. I just really love Instagram. I'm not the best community member. I'm not great at like purposely going on to other people's pages and commenting and, you know, that sort of stuff. But I really do love checking into my stories, giving you a little bit of behind the scenes of what's going on in my life, and, you know, inviting you to my party on Instagram. And I've got a huge following on Instagram. It's about 1,500 right now, but it's doubled in the last 2 years, and it does make a difference. And I could have easily gone, oh, I missed that space, that time back in 2012 where you could get like hundreds of followers overnight. I missed that. The Instagram bubble is gone. There's so many people on Instagram now. And back when I had like 700 followers a couple of years ago, I've got a really low account. What's the point of showing up, right? And I have seen the value in a small engaged account. And I've also gone, do you know what? I actually don't care. I'm just going to show up and have fun. And those have made such a big difference to me. And it has all been a ripple effect. There isn't one thing that has made a big difference. So I'm going to leave you today with my mantra one more time: persistent, consistent action in the direction of your dreams from a place of energetic alignment. Now, this is all magical marketing. And this is all what I'm going to help you with on Sunday, the 24th of September. So if you're listening to this podcast before Sunday, the 24th of September, 2023, check out the show notes, click on the link, and book yourself into that 2-hour live masterclass, because it will make a huge difference where you are now. And listen, you can see from the story of the podcast today that I have been there. I have been there with no one show up. I've been there with low class numbers. I know what it's like, okay? And I've also been in that place of not many followers on Instagram, not many people on my emailing list, not many people listening to my podcast. And I know that when I just stay persistent, consistent action in direction of my dreams, and you can only be consistent. I cannot remember what episode it is, but maybe I'll put it in the show notes if I remember. There is a podcast episode on the key to consistency. And the key to consistency is doing what you love. Like, if you think about your yoga practice, like, we can roll our mat out and practice. We love our yoga practice. It's how we connect to this beautiful thing that is yoga. You don't have to think, oh my God, I've got to do my yoga practice. Same, I love surfing. I could just surf every day. There's never a part of me that thinks, oh my God, I've got to go surfing. Consistency comes from doing what you love. So if you're following a marketing strategy that is just not right for you, you are not going to be consistent, because we can't keep it up. It's humanly impossible. So book yourself into that workshop. It's just £33. You get access to the replay. Now, second most important thing you could do after booking yourself into my magical marketing workshop on the 24th of September is add your name to the waitlist. The doors to my mentorship program reopen on the 12th of October. And this is where we can really shift things, guys, because doing it on your own is so hard. Doing it on your own, you can be in that place where you give up before you should. And with me on your side, helping you through those moments, this is where things shift. And it's one of the things that I love the most, taking someone that come to me, you know, that first part, 6 months down the line, just seeing the change, seeing the transformation that wouldn't have happened if we weren't working together. So get your name on that wait list, particularly if you'd like to come in at that option to work with me more one-to-one, because I have limited spaces for that, guys. So please add your name to that wait list. I'm looking forward to welcoming that next cohort. And I'm also really hot, and it's probably longer than the time I intended to run this episode for. So please every little endeavor, everyone you speak to, in person, online, it adds up, a ripple, a momentum. Give it time. And if you're like, okay, Amy, well, what time would you give it? We are all on our own path. We are all on our own timelines. It's the timeline that's right for you. You know, when we remove these made up goals, made up boundaries, made up shoulds, this is when we remove resistance, the magic beginning to flow. All right, my darling, this stuff is hard, by the way. I'm still working on all of this stuff, and I would love to work on it with you. See you all next week for episode 66. Don't forget to book onto that workshop. Don't forget to add your name into the waitlist for the mentorship program. And I look forward to seeing you all next week.